Peace and blessings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Sabrina, your friend, your therapist, your sister in this journey of life. And I want to welcome you back to Soul Speak Conversations for Your Healing Journey, where so many of you have entrusted me and very often my guests to the questions of your heart. And we do our best to answer those questions from our hearts based on what we know from our life, what we know from our experiences, what we know from our capacity to sit with humanity in all the different ways that it shows up. And I thank you for today's question. And I want you to join me in welcoming today's guest, this beautiful lady, Yolette Ibokette. And I'm going to read her short bio. I'm going to give her a chance to say hello to you and me. And then we're going to jump into the question. So, Sister Yolette's work in the field of education encompasses teaching and school administration. From 2010 to the present, she has worked in various administrative positions at a charter school and in the Boston Public Schools. For 18 years, she taught English language learners in Malden and Cambridge public schools. For a number of years, she wrote an education column for the Boston Haitian Reporter newspaper. She is currently pursuing a doctorate in school leadership at Northeastern University with a focus on unmotivated Black adolescent males. She also holds a Master of Arts degree in bilingual education. Goodness gracious. A Master's in Education and Curriculum Instruction, and a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies in Policy, Planning, and Administration. And this beautiful lady is fluent in Haitian Creole. So welcome, 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 Sister Yolette. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor. And may I please add that I am now a doctor, Dr. Yolette Ibokette.
Okay, Dr. Yolette, yes.
And so I am very, very excited to be here.
Beautiful. Now, how do you say congratulations in Haitian Creole?
Congratulations. Félicitations. Félicitations.
So it's in like in Spanish or French. Felicitación.
Exactly.
I love
Very,
it.
very good.
Felicitación. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's very, very, very exciting because based on what you've already been doing for the planet, this next layer, this next chapter is going to allow you to do even more. And today's question directly applies to your doctorate that I didn't even know you had yet. So here's today's question. I'm just going to put it right in front of me so that I can see it clearly. And the question is, dear Dr. Sabrina, and this is a woman, and we just go by initials. So her initials are EB. So throughout the time, we will reference her as EB. Dear Dr. Sabrina, I'm an African American woman from a long line of educated people. More women than men in my family attended college. And with all that I know, I am at the end of my road with my 15-year-old son. He is brilliant and hates school. I'm worried and terrified that he won't be successful. I pray for him every day, have put him in all kinds of programs, and I really don't know what else to do to motivate him. I feel like a terrible mom, and I am full of regret and worry. Is there any hope for me and my son? I know. The big question.
Yes.
What would
Yes.
be some of your first responses to the EBs of the world?
First, I would like to commend her for her love for her child, her dedication to his academic success. She is clearly one of those parents who is totally engaged in his life and want the very best for him. I could feel that love
Mm-hmm.
through the letter that she sent you. I would say that she should not feel hopeless. There is definitely a lot of things that can be done. But I would like to explain why a brilliant Black boy
Hmm.
would hate school.
Thank you. Please explain.
So, when our Black boys first enter school in preschool, in kindergarten, they are curious. They are excited about learning. They are creative and just cannot wait to soak up everything being taught. Sadly, as they get older, as they go up the grades in grade school, things change for our Black boys. Why do they change? A number of factors. It may be that um, their teachers, administrators begin to see them no longer as children, but begin to perceive them as as Black men.
Mm.
E-
What age did you say that happens? What age?
Even at a very young age.
Yeah.
Oh, beginning in grade school. So I'm
Hmm.
talking first, second, third grade. And uh, also, sadly, if teachers and administrators happen to have biased views of
Hmm.
Black men, they can project them on our Black boys.
Hmm.
So, very early on, our Black boys find themselves being seen through deficit lenses, being seen through a lens of dangerousness, of not being interested in school, of being troublemakers, when all they want is to continue to learn and be children.
I think right there, you just gave a healing to EB, like some validation that is not all her fault, that there was something set into motion long before she and her son were born that would create this situation that is making school a challenge for her son.
Yes, yes, yes. And what happens is that as our boys go through school and encounter teachers and administrators with these very negative views of them, they begin to be resentful, of course. They begin to see school not as a safe place. They begin to see school as this place where they are treated differently from other boys, from white boys, Asian boys, Latino boys. And they also are very smart, as EB says, and they can tell when their teachers have low expectations for them. They can tell when they are not being treated fairly, when they're not being treated respectfully, and they resent all of these experiences. And as you can imagine, who wants to be in a learning environment where day in and day out you are experiencing these negative treatments? In my research, one young Black boy says that in school, he feels as if he is suffocating. He says, I don't feel that I can breathe until school is dismissed and I leave the building. And so many of our boys are not receiving an education in an environment that is liberating, that is freeing. They are receiving an education in a confining space. And when you have these types of experiences in school, it eventually turns you off to learning. altogether.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. If you can't breathe, then that means your nervous system is not at ease. And
That's
if
right.
your nervous system is not at ease, your brain cannot learn.
That's
If
right.
you're in, what you're saying is these boys are at school and their sympathetic nervous system is taken over. They're in fight flight at
Yes.
school,
Yes.
and there's no learning there. There's just how to stay safe.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
And then I
And
wonder what it's doing to their physical health too.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And if I may add, these boys are also finding that the curricula that are being taught in schools are really not relevant to their lives, not relevant to their identities, not relevant to their communities and the issues happening
Mm-hmm.
in their communities, not relevant to their lived experiences. How do you feel engaged in learning when that is the case, when you feel that none of this is relevant to me and who I am? They see and hear things happening in their communities, to themselves, to family members, and a lot of injustices. And those issues are not being addressed in school. They're not being addressed in school. And so they ask themselves, why am I here? Why am I here? And sadly, many of our boys, as soon as they can drop out, they do, because school is simply not a space that they see themselves reflected. They don't see their voices being respected. They don't feel heard when they speak up. They see themselves being unjustly disciplined
Yeah. Hmm.
for infractions that other boys get away with.
Mm.
And so there are many, many issues occurring within the walls of a school that can turn off our Black boys and make them dislike schools, hate schools, and turn them off to learning altogether.
You said so much, and while you were sharing, I was flooded with memories myself of my own brother, my nephews, my clients' sons. And I remember even my daughter, her third grade teacher who passed away. She was a beautiful woman. I sat down with her one day to talk about my daughter, who was also struggling with school, but differently. She
Mhm.
said, well, Sabrina, this school is set up for good girls. She told me that from her lips. And I said, oh my goodness, you're right. Because I was a good girl in school and my daughter was not.
Mm,
And she said, like, and she was a white American woman who, but her heart was like right there into the space with teaching these kids. And I thought about that and I never forgot that. So even when I read EB's question, I thought about this woman. Her first name was May. And hearing that from May helped me figure out how to navigate the system for my daughter. And so I'm wondering, how would you, like EB is listening, there's other women listening, and they just got a healing hearing this validation from you. And I guess the second part for them is how how do you suggest they use this information to help them navigate the system and reinstill hope in both them and their child?
So I would say they need to begin by remembering to constantly remind their boys how much they love them, how much they care about them, that they are going to be there for them no matter what.
Mm,
That is so, so important. Some uh, people talk about, oh, in these cases, you have to show tough love to these boys. No, these boys are dealing with enough tough love in our
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
They don't need any more from
Mm-hmm.
their loved ones, from their caregivers. No, they
Mm.
need just love.
Yeah. Yeah. They got enough tough.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So remind them how much you care about them and nurture them because sadly, our Black boys are not being nurtured in other environments in our society, certainly not in many schools. And so that is the first step. You
Mm.
sit down with them, listen to them, ask them questions about their experiences at school. Some families tend to give the benefit of the doubt to the teachers and administrators and dismiss what their kids are saying to them at times.
Mm-hmm.
No, no. Listen to your child.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your child. Ask questions about what is your day like in ELA, in
Mm-hmm.
in social studies. What is the teacher like? What type of activities do you do in class? What do conversations with teachers sound like? What does discipline look like? You have to have these questions, these conversations rather, with your children. Very important that they feel that, at least at home, they are being heard by their families.
Yeah.
And families also don't realize how much power they have, Sabrina. Families pay taxes
Right.
to support these schools. And so families uh, oftentimes complain that they don't feel welcome in many schools. And unfortunately, it's true. I worked in schools for many years, and I see how some families are treated when they come to the school to talk to teachers and principals and ask questions and make complaints, right? But don't let that deter you from advocating for your child. Families can question teachers and principals about the curriculum being taught. They can ask that curriculum be more relevant to
Mm-hmm.
the children's lives, to the community the schools are in. Um, I teach culturally responsive teaching to
Mm.
student teachers right now at UMass Boston. And it's very important that teachers are aware of all the factors that impact student learning, depending on the student, depending on the student's identity, depending on the student's culture, depending on the student's language. And so families can go to the school and question the teacher about the curriculum, about instruction, question the principal about what are you doing to make sure that my child is not being disciplined unfairly, unjustly.
And then I guess the other piece of it, so what you're talking about, you said validation, love, curiosity, safety. I was scribbling. Know your power, advocate, ask questions about the curriculum. And I'm wondering, how do you support? Well, this person, EB, she mentions that she's highly educated. And there are also, and I've witnessed a lot of moms, parents who have less education and maybe even people like from your culture that English is not their first language, and so maybe their child is their interpreter, or they're intimidated
Yeah.
by showing up.
Yes.
How would you support an EB, or what do you suggest for an EB who may just be who may come from a culture that says, do what the teacher says, shut your mouth, or oh, the teacher is the god of this space. So we just do what they say. How do you help an EB like that?
So I have had to deal with families who come from other countries, um, and whose cultures dictate that the family doesn't get involved in the school, that the teacher knows everything,
Mm-hmm.
the principal knows everything, and that the family should step back and allow the school staff to do their thing. Whatever they do is fine. And so what I say to families like that is, it is fine that that is the culture that you were raised in, you grew up in, but remember, you are no longer in that culture. You are here. And in this country, in this society, families are expected to advocate for their kids, to be engaged in their kids' education, to show up in school, to have those conferences, to make demands of teachers and other school staff, that yes, it's fine when you were in this other culture, you could do that. But in this culture, if you want to make sure your child is successful academically, is safe in their school, is happy and learning, you need to be engaged in their education.
No, that makes sense. And I've also witnessed uh, change happen when the parents bond together. I know I have a gazillion examples because I remember my other daughter was in the fourth grade. The teacher really needed to be retired, and she stopped letting the kids play outside because she didn't feel like doing recess. Now, other
Mm,
people might think that's not important, but you and I both know it's important for kids to take a
very.
break and
Yes.
run and move their bodies.
Yes.
And I do know that if I wasn't friends with women on the PTA, men and women, I would have not known because I was at work that Miss So and So stopped letting the kids go outside in spring. And so this other mother told me, I told another mother, I told somebody, before you knew it, there were 10 of us saying, look, my daughter needs to play out. Our children need to play outside. Recess should not be sitting at their desk with a board game. And so it's that kind of, and what was coming to me around EB, if she does in fact come from the culture you described, that, let's say she's from your culture. Let's say she's a Haitian woman. Find 5 Haitian women and y'all
Yes.
go in there together
Yes.
because
Yes.
there's power. And that's a part of the power, right?
Yes.
It's the personal
Definitely.
power, but it's the communal power.
Power in numbers. Yes.
Yeah.
Collective. That collective power is also very, very important,
Yes.
because one person may not feel comfortable speaking up by herself or by himself. However, with others around them, they are more likely to feel powerful enough, empowered enough to speak up.
Well, I know it's a silly example, but I do like to watch Abbott Elementary. And underneath there's a message. Like when those parents come together and they say, we don't have no heat. You gotta fix this school, right? And the PTA mom, she looks crazy. And I forget the guy. He's also, he's off. However, if you're watching the show, you see Ava, the principal, is terrified of them.
Yes.
She's like, oh, ooh, I gotta get it together. But she looks like she's unscathed.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I love the idea of us telling the EBs to get her support pie. Get your people together. And
Yes.
it might be someone that speaks your language, but maybe looks vastly different from you.
Yes.
And gather them together. and how that energy of the gathering is also going to impact her son's perception
Yes,
of
yes.
learning, right?
Definitely. And also, some families uh, find ways to meet other families in the same school, in the same classroom. So they put their heads together and talk
Hmm.
about changes that need to be made in the classroom or the school, and can also address these issues with the teacher and the principal. And yes, families are setting a wonderful example for their children. When
Yeah.
their children see them advocating for them this way, when their children see them speaking up, I mean, that is, talk about love. You are showing your love for your child. And,
Yes.
and so your children will also become more interested in creating change in their classroom and in their school, to make the learning more relevant, more interesting, more engaging for themselves.
Do you find that it's more difficult to gather those numbers when students go to high school as opposed to, because I think the examples that I've been giving have been for your grade school kids, but EB has a 15-year-old and your research is about adolescents.
Yes,
Is there a shift when they get older or is it
yes,
more? Hmm.
definitely, definitely. In elementary school, you tend to find families certainly more engaged in the children's education. You tend to find students more interested in learning. And unfortunately, as they move to middle and high school, that's when the issues start coming up as far as school, as far as learning,
Hmm.
because remember, their bodies are going through changes also
Yes.
during those years. And so um, I would say to all families with Black children, Black boys, you keep your eyes on what is going on since elementary. Because since elementary school, our kids start getting these negative
Yes.
messages
Yes.
from teachers. And Sabrina, sadly, it's not only teachers from other races.
I know.
My research shows, and I also saw it when I worked in schools, that uh, it doesn't matter the race of the teacher. If the it's the character, it's the qualities of the teacher. If the teacher is totally invested in making sure your child is successful, it doesn't matter the race of the teacher. And I have found, for example, white teachers who exhibit those qualities, Black teachers who do not.
Yes, that makes sense. Well, that's a part of like what you're teaching in your education program for teachers. It's
Yes,
how will we recognize our own biases, our implicit biases against ourselves, our
yes,
groups, and other groups.
yes,
Because even when you were sharing that, I remember, because I've done this, a lot of this work.
yes.
My nephew, who's now a professional football player, so he's huge. I don't even know how tall he is or how much he weighs. He's huge. When he was 7 years old, he was already 5'5". He's a big dude.
Hmm.
He came to visit me and he was like on the floor doing all this. And I looked at him, I said, stop. And then I said, oh my gosh, there's a baby right here on the floor.
Exactly. Yes.
And it was like a split second
Yes.
of like, oh, he's a baby. And then I just let him keep doing whatever he was doing. I started laughing.
That's right.
And I realized when you were sharing that, it also requires self awareness and
Mm.
in continually working on ourselves,
Yes.
like to never stop. And I had this moment of regression, right? It was like a millisecond, but it
Yes.
was there. And it bothered me that even I have to remain aware.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I'm,
Because
yeah, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, no, that's fine because that is what our Black boys experience in schools.
Yes,
They are being adultified at a very, very young age. And so, yes, their caregivers, their families need to uh, not let ourselves get brainwashed into also seeing them as adults when they're just children.
they're just babies. They're just babies. And I think the good girls can manage the adultification. We just made up a word, but I like it. Because I know when by the time I was in the fifth grade, I was exactly the same height that I am right now. 5'8". I had a full woman's body and I was treated like a woman.
Mm,
But the difference is I knew instinctively how to play the game, how to be good, how to be quiet, how to get straight A's. And these young men are not good and quiet and making straight A's.
exactly.
What
Exactly.
happens to them? And
Yes.
what happens to us when our kids are not straight A students? Like maybe they have a legit, and we don't know this about EB's son,
Hmm.
but maybe he does have a legitimate learning difference that can't be addressed, ma'am EB, because you don't know what it looks like because it's not been your experience.
Yes. Yes. And in such a case, um, EB would hopefully have the type of relationship, positive, trusting relationship with the teachers, so that she sits down with the teachers and discuss how she is seeing her son react to school, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And talk about what type of supports is he getting? Is he getting enough supports?
mhm,
What type of resources does
mhm.
the school have to support my child? And it's very possible that with that her son is getting many supports and is still struggling. And in a case like that, EB will have to talk to the teacher and say, is it possible that my child may have a learning uh, uh, disability?
Mhm.
How do we find out? Can we have him evaluated? Is that a possibility? Or if her son is doing really well in one class and not well in another class, it might be something that has to do with that teacher and
Mhm.
that curriculum that needs to be addressed. And so it's conversations with the teachers and to try to get to the heart, to the bottom of what is going on. Why does my child hate school?
Yes. You know what else I've seen? Um, Sometimes the system has been very quick, and I've seen teachers come to me and tell me, "Oh, so and so has ADHD," and I'm like, "Well,
Mhm.
where'd you get that diagnosis from, ma'am? Where then? Well, he's
Yeah.
always moving and he's fidgety and da da da." And the research shows that middle schoolers actually, and I witnessed this, they do better when they look. I'm rocking back and forth when they can rock back and forth, like it impacts their brain.
Yes.
And so just to like I've actually said to teachers, can he sit on the floor? Can he rock back and forth? And they're like, oh my gosh, he's a new kid. And so I think there's also a tendency to diagnose our boys,
Yes.
diagnose them and put them
Yes.
out the classroom.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
he's in a classroom with children who really do have delayed uh, functioning,
Yes.
and he is ahead of them, and so he's bored and he's got an attitude, and all the behaviors flow from that.
And thank you for mentioning that, Sabrina, because um, number one, yes, boys need to move. Boys need that space, that time to move their bodies. They're not going to sit still at a desk for you. They need to be able to do that. Um, and also, yes, sometimes our boys are being taught um, below their ability levels,
Yes, they are.
and they're bored. And so they act out. They are not being placed in advanced classes, honors classes. As EB says, her son is brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It may be an issue of he's bored with the way he's being taught, with what is being taught, and he wants to be challenged.
Yes.
And unfortunately, many, you go into a school and you look into these advanced honors classes, you do not see many Black boys. You see very, very few.
Yeah.
You're lucky to see one or two. Okay. So that also is something else that our children have to deal with.
Yeah. And sometimes I know with my clients and with my own family, sometimes it really takes that curiosity you talked about to find out what lights them up and let them do that thing more than the other thing. And
Hmm.
that's exactly how I found out that my daughter was a visual artist. Um, I was like very concerned, even though I have a girl like EB. I was like, oh, she's getting C's. We're gonna die. Somebody's gonna kill us. Black people, we're not allowed to get C's. What is this? I've never seen a C. Ah, I was hysterical, right? And then I discovered that she's got a little bit of ADD because she's but really we found out she's an artist. And I put her in an after school art program and a weekend art program. And yeah, her math scores never really soared, but they were not below average. And she ended up in AP art and she went to art school.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I find that sometimes when we can take them out of these little boxes, um, they can they can soar.
Yes, yes. And you found out about this interest in art. That that is what a good teacher is supposed to do.
And you
As soon,
yes, you're right. And it was a teacher. It was a
yeah,
teacher that told me.
yes,
Well,
yes.
no, it was a teacher that told her.
Oh, okay. And then, yeah, and then you found out. Yes, first thing at the beginning of every school year, that's the first thing teachers are supposed to do. Get to know the students, get to know their interests, their passions, and use those interests and passions in order to make the learning fun, make the learning interesting. And so unfortunately some teachers don't do that. They don't take the time. And there's a lot on teachers' plates, and I get it. I get it. But if a teacher is truly committed to every single student being successful, then that is one of the things you have to do, is to take time to develop that personal relationship with your student and find out what it is that they're passionate about, that they're talented in, that they're interested in, and utilize those things, bring those things into the curriculum to make the learning fun and engaging.
Yes, absolutely. And then as we begin to close this leg of our conversation, because I feel like we should talk again, talk some more. The last piece of EB's question that I just want us to address is, and you kind of did, but I just want to circle back to it. She says, I feel like a terrible mother and I'm full of regret and worry. What do you say to the EBs who feel like they're terrible moms because of their children's educational experience?
You are not a terrible mom, EB. You are not. You recognize the brilliance of your son. You are concerned enough that you are trying to find different programs for him to get him engaged. You are reaching out to Dr. Sabrina. You are doing everything in your power, everything you can in order to make sure your child is academically successful. So you are already on the right path. And so you simply have to continue to stay engaged, get into that school, get into that classroom, talk to the teacher, talk to the principal, talk to your child, find out what is going on within that learning environment at school. You are doing all the right things, EB. So
Yes.
keep it up.
And I want to add another little piece to what you said. And for EB to talk to herself and to be a friend to herself as she walks through this journey of parenting that none of us have a real quality manual for.
Yes.
Because the
Yeah.
reality of parenting is that it is always changing.
Yes. Yes. And I have two boys myself. So some of the things that EB mentioned, I went through with my two boys. And so you are doing the right things. You're asking the right questions, EB. You're a
Yes,
wonderful mom.
thank you. Progress, not perfection, EB. Let's keep doing it. And then we end like we began with you telling her, to begin with the love.
Yes.
To begin with the love.
Yes.
And so we end with the love, EB. That's what your boy needs.
That's right.
So we will pause. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming, for bringing all this knowledge and all this information. And I know you said you have two boys, but all the boys that will be impacted by the research that you're doing and this group of young teachers that you're impacting. I mean, it's infinite, the possibilities, the healing possibilities
Yes.
in our
Yes.
education system.
Yes.
So I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I wish you a glorious everything.
Thank you,
And to
Sabrina.
all the EBs, thank you for writing. Thank you for sharing. Keep bringing your questions in, and very soon you'll be able to listen again and again and again to my brilliant guest, Dr. Yolette's advice, comfort, support, and feedback. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.